In this video, I want to talk about whether or not there is much of a difference between the marking sheet that ICBC uses here in British Columbia, Canada, versus the marking sheet or the driving performance evaluation score sheet that the DMV uses in California. And the reason I got interested in this was my one of my family members moved to California recently, and they had to take the road test, and they showed me their road test results sheet, and I was just curious to see whether their examiners are looking for the same things, or does it differ from the one we have here in Canada or in the province of British Columbia. And I was very surprised, I guess not too surprised, that they're looking for more or less the same things, and they use the same language in a lot of places. So I just figured we go over their sheet here, just comparing it to what we teach in the vehicle and what or what the examiners rather are looking for when someone shows up for a ICBC road test here in BC. And I guess starting with the pre-drive checklist, we call this the pre-trip check, and they check to see if the driver window rolls down, whether your windshield is cracked, whether you've got a rear view mirror, and whether the turn signals are working, the brake lights are working. They check to see if your tires are decent. They want to make sure, of course, that your brake light is working as well, or you've got the foot brake. In this case, I'm assuming maybe the rubber on the foot brake should be there. I'm not sure what this means here, but horn, yep, they check that here as well. Emergency slash parking brake, they check for that. They want to make sure you know your hand signals, so how to communicate if your signal burns out with your left hand out of the window. Um, so you need to know your bike signals essentially, and also this arm signal shows you whether you understand what the cyclists are trying to tell us on the road. They want to make sure your wipers are working. Yep, same here. They want to know where the defrost is, where your hazard lights are, whether your headlights are working. Here, they check your high beams as well. Of course, they want to make sure the passenger door is functional. It's interesting that they have a glove box checklist here too. I guess that's just to see if the glove box is intact and whether it latches or is it just hanging out, because I think that's what they probably mean with the glove box. It can't just be loose or hanging out. It needs to be latched properly. And of course, here they also check to see if your seat belts are frayed or not. They want to make sure the seat belts are working. And then you've got the actual part of the drive section. So in the parking lot, are you doing a correct traffic check? Do you know where the hazards could be coming from? Do you have appropriate speed in the parking lot? And highway, freeway, right? So are you entering the highway at the correct speed? Is your spacing good between the cars in front of you, the cars behind you, the cars you're going to be merging with? Are you checking that traffic? Are you letting other people know your intention that you're planning on coming up to merge? And lane positioning, right? Are you drifting into the um, highway too soon? Are you cutting the solid white line? Are you going on the shoulder line there? So it's very interesting. I looked through this, and it's pretty much the same things that they're looking for. I think what we teach in North America for the most part is the same. Now, every jurisdiction will have slightly different things. For example, in BC, we're allowed to make a right turn at a red light once we've made a full stop, and there's no sign prohibiting us from making that right turn. But in other parts of North America, you're not allowed to make that right turn on a red. You just have to wait till the light turns green. So you have to still read and follow the rules for your jurisdiction. But having said that, a lot of things are the same in a lot of places. So, for example, make full stops behind the limit lines, right? So, are you making complete stops? And then are you making sure you're not making any unnecessary stops, right? So let's say your light is green, there's no oncoming traffic, no pedestrians on the left side. Are you going ahead and making the turn smoothly? Or are you suddenly stopping and surprising the car behind you, right? Lane use, right? So are you going into the correct lanes, or are you turning wide? Are you cutting corners? Are you going uh, too wide into another lane? Are you keeping centered in your lane? So these are the things that we talk a lot about in our videos, and it's pretty much the same thing. As I look through this marking sheet, they're looking for pretty much the exact same things that we're looking for here in BC, or the examiners are looking for, and me as a driving instructor is looking for when we're getting our students ready. And so um, alongside that marking sheet, they give you this explainer sheet, and it's again very similar to um, the explainer sheet that ICBC gives you at the end of your test, right? So, traffic check, are you able to understand where the threats are coming from? Are you scanning for those, including vehicles, pedestrian traffic, road hazards, and are you showing a safe reaction to these items? Um, so driving in the parking lot, are you obeying the rules of the road when you're driving in the parking lot? Are you driving at speed that shows good discretion? And when you're backing up by the curb, are you able to back up without drifting over to the right or drifting to the left? And are you able to pull back into traffic safely? So again, same things that the examiners are looking for here. Left and right turns, so making beginning and ending in the safest lane available and making your turns smoothly without swinging too wide or cutting too short. It's very interesting looking through this for me as a driving instructor from another jurisdiction, just kind of seeing what are other driving examiners looking for in different parts of the world. And again, freeway, are you entering safely, emerging safely, exiting safely without impeding the traffic that's on the highway, right? So are you getting up to speed, up to the speed limit when conditions allow? And are you exiting the highway at a good speed without, surprising the car behind you on the highway? And intersections, right? So are you checking as you're approaching the intersection? Are you stopping at the correct place if there's a need to stop? And is there a safe space between you and the vehicle ahead, whether you're stopped, whether you're following them? And lane changes. So are you giving enough heads up to the other vehicles around you that you're going to do this maneuver? Are you checking your blind spot before you do that maneuver and making sure that you manage a safe gap? And then, of course, canceling your communication or canceling your signal when your maneuver is done. So, um, again, it's very cool because it shows me at least that the videos that we make are relevant to not only where we are, but where you might be driving. However, again, what we teach might be slightly different than what you're expected to do in your jurisdiction. So always refer back to the official material provided by your motor vehicle department to verify that there's no discrepancy between what we're covering and what they expect.